Hello, my name is Joanna and I'm a first year medical student in New York City. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for watching. In this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 mistakes I've made studying during my first year medical school thus far. Let's get right into it. The first mistake that I made was I did not give myself enough time to read my notes. I spent too much time writing my notes and I never reread them, because a module is a certain amount of weeks and I spent most of that time writing notes, and then towards the end I was scrambling like a chicken without my head. So what I'm going to do moving forward is really pace myself. For example, cardiovascular system, which we're doing right now, that module is 8 weeks long. I'm going to make sure that I read ahead of the lecture, finish reading and writing all my notes by week 4. That way I can spend the last 4 weeks of that module heading to the exam, rereading my notes, adding to it from whatever questions I get wrong and things like that. Because it makes no sense to have beautiful notes if you never reread them. So that's number 1. So number 2, I did not make efficient use of my review books and textbooks. The reason why my notes took me so long to write during the musculoskeletal module, or that's the first module, the first exam I had, and now I'm studying cardiovascular. Like I said in some previous videos, my school is organ systems based, and I can make another video explaining what that means and how I feel it's more beneficial for medical students. Just in my experience and from talking to older students in my school and from students from other schools who also have the same kind of system. But back to what I was saying. Basically, I spent 3 weeks reading textbooks and I was in a mad scramble. And so what I've learned from that is that there's information that you should get from textbooks, and this differs from module to module, but there's also information that you can get away with getting from a review book or getting from a video and still learning it well, but faster. So for example, what I could have done during musculoskeletal is definitely read the textbook for pathology, because pathology is very important. And I want to make sure that I really got that ingrained in my system. But I really could have gotten away with reading the organ systems first aid book or reading a board review series book, BRS book, for the anatomy, the embryology, and the histology, especially because I've learned these things before in my fundamentals course last semester. So what I'm doing now for cardiology or cardiovascular is I am definitely reading the textbook for the very important stuff, so for physiology. But for anatomy, for embryology, for histology, I am getting that from review books and videos because it's a little bit faster and I can spend more time focusing on very high yield things. And then the physio will help me remember all those things that lead to this big system. So that's what I'm doing for that mistake. Now, the third mistake that I made is that I was not making appropriate use of my lecture time. I've mentioned this in earlier videos, but my school now has an attendance policy. So you basically have to go to lecture. And I believe I was just mad about having to go to lecture and I was not making effective use of my time. It's not like I was being disrespectful or anything. I just wasn't paying attention. I was doing other things. I felt like I would be spending my time more efficiently if I was reading the textbook or reading something else. And that's not true. So what I'm doing now is that, because like I said, I want to finish my notes early, so I'm reading ahead as much as possible so I can get ahead of the lecturer. Then during lecture, I listen and really pay attention so I can know, verify my knowledge or understand deeper into the topic, understand whatever may be confusing me as I read. And then after the lecture, I don't necessarily take notes on the slides, but I will review the slides once or twice, because the information that they're lecturing on is still pertinent. It may not be high yield for step 1, but it's still pertinent information, and it could be tested on the exam because these lecturers are picking their questions. So it is important to know that knowledge as well. We can't neglect it just because it's not in first aid. So that's what I'm doing in terms of that. Number 4 is that I did not want to purchase extra resources. And I don't mean review books like the board review series like BRS or first aid or organ systems. I mean extra resources as in USMLE RX or Kaplan. Those are the 2 main ones I know about at my school and that people talk about. And I refused to buy them, to purchase them, to look at them, because I felt like, oh, I shouldn't have to, I'm already spending so much money to be here. I shouldn't have to spend more money to get quality education. And while that is true, you also have to remember that this is an investment in yourself. And if there's something that's going to help you learn more efficiently and more effectively so you can get to your goal, then that $200, $300 investment now is going to benefit you so much more and have such a big return that it doesn't matter, you know? And so you have to remember that you can't let your grades suffer to save a coin. That's not going to help you ever. And so I realized that a bit late, but I've definitely learned from my mistake, and I have purchased one of those two, and I can make a video talking about which one I chose and why I chose it, and have someone else who chose the other option come on and talk about that as well. If that's something that you guys want, let me know. Finally, the fifth mistake that I made, and this hurt me the most, I did not do enough practice problems. I think I started doing practice problems the night before the exam. Biggest mistake of my entire life. And I think I was in this mindset because during undergrad, just going through the slides and knowing the information was enough for me to do well on the exams and do very well on the exams and pass my courses. But this system is a lot different because there's so much integration that's happening because we're learning entire systems that questions are essential for you to understand that integration and to really think about different aspects of everything as you go along within the course. Questions do that the best, I find. And it took me a long time to process and understand questions during the first exam because I hadn't had enough practice questions under my belt. And also, just questions in general help you do better. And we know this from, I guess, life experience. And the professor said that research shows that students who do more questions better on step one. So yes, I definitely did not do enough practice questions. And this also ties into the resources thing that I just mentioned for tip 4. If you're purchasing the entirety of USMLE RX or Kaplan, it comes with question banks, or you can just purchase the question banks, and those are essential. You need to do as many practice problems as possible when you're in medical school. It helps you so much, especially when your curriculum is formulated modularly like mine. So yes, those are the 5 mistakes I've made. I'll probably make an update video, I guess, if you guys want that, to show you how these changes have worked out for me, or what specific system, if I develop one, has worked for me later on. But these are the mistakes I've made so far. I hope these help someone out. Please like and subscribe to my channel. And if you have anything else you want to tell me, any burning desires, any questions, any comments, please put them down in the comment box below. I love you guys so much. Thank you. Bye. See you next week.